Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
In response to these violent anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles, President Trump deployed the National Guard. The state of California has sued the president over that. In response to that, the president's now deployed the Marines. And California's saying, we're going to sue you over that too. So let's talk about the issues at stake here. Attorney Jeremy Rosenthal returns to the Davison Family Dentistry Newsmaker line this morning. Jeremy, welcome back to WHO. It's always a pleasure. Good morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. I'm wondering what you're thinking here. What are the issues at stake in this lawsuit from California against President Trump and his administration?
This is as complicated a legal issue as you will ever have. However, I think that the president has found an end around to this, which is deploying Marines. In short, the creation and the direction of the Army National Guard is extremely complicated. It is actually, although the Army National Guard they're trained by the Army. They take an oath. I used to be in the Army National Guard. They take an oath to the Commander-in-Chief and the Governor of the state of California. They are created by and directed actually by Congress, and that's in the Constitution also. And Congress has basically set out the rules for when the president can deploy the Army National Guard. And in most instances, the president does need the consent of the governor by the direction of Congress. There are some exceptions to that, and I don't know that one of those exceptions apply. However, the Marines are 100% federal. There is no Marine National Guard. So I think there's very little the state of California can do about deployment of the Marine Corps.
And what could happen, Jeremy? Say a court sides with Governor Newsom. Does that mean that the president's got to retract the order and the National Guard has to stand down? What ultimately would be the result of that kind of outcome?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? That's a power struggle that we all kind of watch through our fingers because we don't know. That's pretty uncharted territory. If the governor of the state of California orders the withdrawal or to the National Guard troops to stand down, but you've got a conflicting order from the President of the United States, it puts the military in a real quandary. And are your military commanders going to obey the courts, or are they going to obey the commander-in-chief? No commander really wants to be in that situation. That said, I think probably Donald Trump wins in court here, and I think the reason why is twofold. Number one, you're putting out a fire. This is an emergency. It's one thing to get an injunction against the Trump administration because you don't want Social Security numbers to get spread around, and the court can say, okay, well, we can take a month or 2 months to get this right. Los Angeles is on fire. You've got to. So I don't know that the courts are necessarily going to say, well, okay, well, we've got time to really sort of figure out this complicated legal issue. I think they would sort of by default kind of let it just sort of happen, or not at least freeze it. The other reason being is that the exceptions that allow the president to do this. One of them is to protect federal property or make sure that there's no federal offenses. And you would think that in all of these riots that there's, you would think that there's federal crimes being committed here. So I think ultimately Trump is going to win this.
Attorney Jeremy Rosenthal on News Radio 1040 WHO. He's one of my go-to guys on issues like this, and you can tell why. Jeremy, that is just outstanding analysis of what you said is a very complicated issue. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us at News Radio 1040 WHO.